Another content drop is here. Fat Shark was a bit too humble in the last comlink, referring to this as just a small update. Granted, I think it lacks some of the punch to make it the next chapter of Darktide, but damn is it a very good update nonetheless. As a high-level overview, the armory exchange has moved, a bevy of new weapons are being dumped on our laps, class changes, including some very good adds to our Psyker friends, weapons and blessings getting more changes, very solid UI improvements, more map conditions and condition combos returning, plus balance tweaks to enemies. So, without further ado, let's get started. First off, our Beep Boop boy has moved shop to be closer to his one true love. Praise be to the Omnissiah that we no longer need to trek back and forth while tinkering on our builds. And speaking of the armory, we have many new toys to purge with now. While I'm still missing my microwave beam that we've previously speculated on, this is a massive win with so many new marks to choose from. Starting from the top, we have the Deimos Mark IV Blaze Force Sword. This sword specializes more into single target damage than the previous mark, though in that way also worsens itself against hordes further. However, we've also received the Elysi Mark V Blaze Force Sword, which boasts similar cleaving as the Veteran's original Force Sword, but now with warp flavoring. I think this rounds out the Psyker's Force Sword line into a much better spectrum, and I could see this becoming an upcoming favorite amongst Psykers. Ogren's clubs are also being rounded out similarly with two new marks. Brunt's Pride Mark II Bully Club sports more basic Relentless and Vanguard moves, which should make it pretty versatile at dealing with hordes and the occasional mix-in. The Brunt Basher Mark III-B Bully Club instead heads the other route, focusing more on strike downs and uppercuts to control and eliminate single threats. Ogies are also getting two new marks for the Heavy Stepper as well. The Achilles Mark VII Twin-Linked Heavy Stepper lightens your burden and prefers closer engagements, while the new Garganum Mark IV Twin-Linked Heavy Stepper doubles down with heavier, more relentless rounds at a slower fire rate, with much more damage per shot. Zealots can also cozy up to the new Iron Helm Mark IV Thunderhammer, which acts more like a chain weapon, cleaving through lighter enemies before delivering its pain payload on the intended missing person's target. Also, if there are any Doomslayer cosplayers out there, they can enjoy two new marks for the underserved shotgun class. The new Acropine Mark VII Combat Shotgun is fast, accurate, long-ranged, and boasts better weak spot modifiers. Plus, it has a slug special, making it almost kind of a mock sniper of sorts. While instead, the Contriel Mark IX Combat Shotgun is powerful, violent at close range, and even has incendiary rounds, which, yes, this is the brutalist shotgun that I'm asking for. The Veteran was also not forgotten, with a new, more varied Force Sword moveset provided by the Munitorum Mark VI Power Sword. Moving away from weapons, however, let's look at the new class changes. First off, Psyker receives plenty of love here, with a massive overhaul to their peril system. Passive perils are being massively buffed, returning non-warp weapons to their previous values, and warp weapons are now quelling twice as fast passively. Active quelling is also being buffed, decreasing max quell times by 0.5 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but quelling in general is also much more linear in its scaling, allowing your peril to be much more effectively managed at any value. Buffs don't stop there, however. Psyker's Warp Unleashed feat now applies to all damage. The Quicken feat also increases warp charges from all sources to 2, and Kinetic Overload is being replaced with another Soul Blaze feat, Wildfire, which now spreads up to 4 stacks of Soul Blaze from vanquished enemies to unlucky foes nearby. With this only specifying enemy, we can expect the Pergada staff to be even more brutally efficient on hordes, not to mention it synergizes so well with the other Soul Blaze feats. The Veteran has also been slightly tweaked, with Exhilarating Takedown now granting 10% damage resistance, which can be stacked 3 times to a total of 30% while purging your foes. The Covering Fire feat also is getting a little bit more love this patch, granting a 10% damage boost to its allies it effectively covers. With all the new weapons added, existing weapons have also gotten their own laundry list of changes as well. The existing Thammer just got much more brutal, with its light attacks providing more impact to maniacs and infected enemies, and more armor penetration across the board. Heavy attacks now also provide a boost from 25 to 50% damage penetration on Carapace. The current Blaze Sword also has its damage increased across the board for both its light and heavy swings and stabs. Their current Heavy Stubber also lost weight, making it faster to reload and equip while in the fray. As teased in the last comlink, the Ripper Gun's can opener now only applies on the stab special, with additional brittleness stacks applied, but the stab now staggers much more, and also has better impact across the board. Stabs also boast better damage and armor penetration, making it a more appealing option than just swapping to your melee weapon. It's also more agile with better reload times, equip times, and less penalties to move while firing. Definitely seems like Ogrins are getting much more dexterous with this update. Let's not forget that we didn't just get combat buffs, we're also receiving a very nice set of quality of life updates. First off, we now see debuffs and weapon blessing buffs on our HUD. Now, whenever we are stacking Slaughterer or activating abilities like Brutal Momentum, we no longer have to guess if they are still active. Not only this, but we now know whether or not a blessing has been earned via a new UI marker that denotes novel blessings that have not been added to our library yet. On top of everything so far, it just keeps getting better. 2 new conditions are set to be deployed soon. The Shock Troop Gauntlet, which promises a solid wall of specialists with doubled spawns and occasional wave assaults, likely similar to the new Hunting Ground style waves. And Ventilation Purge, now with snipers. Get ready for sniper jump scares while you're trying to navigate the fog on this one. I'm sure I'll be witnessing plenty of team waves while queuing up this one. Some players did voice feedback, however, that the current darkness and fog conditions were unfair since Nurgle's children seem to have some form of hull sight and could fire with uncannily accurate aim through even the most dense patches. This has been addressed and their line of sight has been nerfed under these conditions. We are also finally getting conditioned combos again. With the changes to crafting now demanding more from my Ordo Docket reserves, this is much appreciated both for the challenge and no doubt the ample rewards contained within. Though conditions are not the only things that are changing to our enemies, as they've also received their own list of changes. Locksounds are now much easier to stagger while on top of your friends. Flamers are no longer shoving you, but instead giving you a little kick. Shotgunners now engage more honorably in melee combat. Their shotguns also no longer have as devastating a range, and their, plus assaulters in general, having their toughness damage, aim duration, and shooting cooldown being reworked across all difficulties. Hunting ground packs are also more frequent, which oddly enough is kinda nice. I really like this one and I like seeing them more often. And believe it or not, bulwarks have been addressed in this update. Their shield push no longer is doing damage. And on top of this, their shield's blocking finally blocks more appropriately during their attacks and stagger animations. Bless the throne for this one. I absolutely hated how their shield was functioning previously. We're also getting more specialist spawns at higher difficulties, though less dregs will be spawned as roamers across all difficulties as well. They're also having their aggro range and just generally their ability to detect you nerfed to help make them less annoying during horde encounters. As a bonus, barrels are also doing more damage and aren't blasting enemies out of their fire radius anymore, so that way they can be appropriately burned alive. And phew, that was a lot. But hey, that's what makes it a good update. If you liked the video, drop a like. Comment if I missed anything. Have a great day. See ya.